but it was grueling and excruciating. Had it happened at the end of the day, I would have probably not been able to cast it. Not the entire thing, but as it were, it was actually a really cool series. Middle of the day, still high energy, and we could keep a pretty heavy focus on the plays. And I'm hoping Ekop and Thijs get that deep in their games. Thijs being an exceptional player, and Ekop, for some reason, I want to say just not at the front, or like at the front of the scene for the community anymore, where he used to be a long time ago.
Ekop?
Yes?
Oh, I wasn't around those days, so
Hello.
feels bad, man. I didn't know.
Yeah, he's been around the community since the very inception of it, and he was around for the Fight Nights, ESGN, a long time ago. You told me you didn't live through the Undertaker era, so
No,
you did not get to know Ekop for sure.
I came in during the Secret Pally stuff.
Okay, so TGT, when the Grand Tournament was released, you
Yeah,
kinda hopped
slightly
on board.
before that. Slightly before that. So yeah, we can see that both of them banned each other's shamans. And
Pretty
Thijs
reasonable.
with his hunter and Ekop with his hunter. Let's see who takes this hunter match. Is Ekop using the secret, a secret hunter? Well, I can see that Thijs is using a secret hunter.
I mean, a lot of the players just bring Secret Hunter, but there's a lot of tweaks to them. We've had players bring the more aggressive ones, made by Cameron initially, and then we've had people play the VLPS version with Curator as well. There has been a N'Zoth Secret Hunter as well. The N'Zoth, I think Orange was bringing it with N'Zoth at the
right?
top end, and Neyman as well played it. And we have a really interesting deck list in that one, I think, because the N'Zoth is played as a way to just bolster your late game. And what it does is, in a big way, just beats Warrior. If Control Warrior is brought to the event, you can usually destroy it just by flooding the board repeatedly with your Death Rattle minions. High main is a problem for them. And if you top it all off with the N'Zoth after Call the Wild, usually that's enough to get them down. Hence why we've seen more of it. And it looks like Ekop so far is playing a list that, if not exactly that one, is very similar to it.
Ooh. Thijs does get the Huntress, and he has a choice to play. Yeah, the Huntress with all the secrets. Freezing Trap would be great against the Infested Wolf here. Cat Trick also pretty good.
Yeah,
Seems
I like
like
I like it.
Yeah, it seems like the best thing to do this turn.
Yeah. So the wolf can't be replayed, which means there's a good chance Ekop has to use Deadly Shot to kill the 3/4, or maybe rely on an Animal Companion, or maybe even track into an answer in his deck. And if he does that, then Cat Trick comes out, and you have a target for Houndmaster on turn 5, which is completely busted, given that you get a 6/4. Especially in this matchup, where it usually comes down to the first player who can bring the other one below 15 health, and then start pushing.
I think he's gonna have to check the secret though, one way or another, so might as well be with the Infested Wolf.
What to do?
And he's got 2 Deadly Shots, so maybe it's not too bad that he uses one here.
Animal Companion would be okay if this wasn't Cat Trick. And I think he's gonna have to be worried about that.
Well, yeah, Cat Trick would still come out even with a Deadly Shot though.
Yeah, but you don't always kill the minion with Animal Companion. And just like that, Thijs is gonna get his wish. With the Houndmaster finding a target on the board right away. With an insane swing. And he's even got a curve with 2 3-drops on 6.
He could just, he has a choice to just Houndmaster here. Yeah, seems good.
Alright, so he chooses to develop the Freezing Trap right away. I thought maybe there's a world in which he keeps it to get an earlier Call of the Wild, but he's opting to play it in the mid-game to guarantee that his turn 6 play is going to be even more tempo heavy.
Right, because he'll probably get a bow charge also, like, eventually, once he sets that up. Oh. A 4/4 taunt.
Just big enough to be annoying. And
yeah, stands in the way.
He does have the Freezing Trap though, so there's an argument for simply passing where you play Eagle Hornbow, Animal Companion, and you pass. If you get Huffer, you can go through, and if it isn't, then you wait for the Misha to attack. But the freezing
the
trap
bow.
can be defused by Unleash the Hounds, for instance.
Oh, he got a huffer. That's actually great for him.
Yeah, Ekop's face isn't thinking it's that great. He's like, yeah, okay, that just happened. That hurts.
And Thijs is fine with not using his bow here because he's not gonna get the freezing trap buff.
I don't
Just
mind
yet.
him going for Eagle Horn Bow and just pushing 9 damage to face, because that does put Ekop down to 15, which means the win is almost occurring naturally, regardless of what follows up. But his idea is if I can just play tracking and hero power, I can use my bow afterwards. I don't mind either play, but I think the bow is more aggressive and overall just a bit faster to close the game.
That was the infested wolf that was freezing trapped, right? That got dropped down.
Yeah, it feels bad to play it. Every single secret that Ekop saw played against him ended up being one that he couldn't play around at all. So he attacked with the wolf, freezing trap came up, he played a deadly shot, he got cat tricked, and there was a Houndmaster to punish, so everything went very poorly for him. And right now, Thijs can't put his opponent down to 2 health with the hero power and lock down the game guaranteed as a follow-up, so I don't think Ekop will have much of a chance to get out of this one.
Yeah, I mean, he had the choice of high main, right? But he was like, hey, I can just buff my 6/4 cat to become an 8/6, and that's just gonna be
going to fare a little more poorly than against, say, the warrior.
I think
the matchup you're looking for is probably just a standard control warrior if you're secret hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could do okay. The hunter can do okay against a druid. It just if you're top decking like secrets later, it's just really bad.
Yeah, the double Houndmaster build does put a lot more pressure. I guess it depends on which secret hunter build you're playing. Again, we alluded to the fact that there existed a lot of them, and the aggressive ones probably get defused a bit more readily, whereas the double Houndmaster build, the more mid-rangey hunters that play secrets are a little bit better at it.
Yeah, this is not the kind of start Thijs really wants here. He doesn't have a turn 1, he doesn't have a turn 2. Just a bunch of 3 mana cards for days.
And there we go, just add another one to that list. We're talking about 6 3-mana cards that's almost filling up his entire deck's 3 cards. He's got what? He's got Kill Command and Animal Companion number 2 left, and that's it.
I know. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and Ekop still wants to, I think the go-to is still play the Mire Keeper for ramp here.
With Houndmasters in your opponent's deck, I don't know. It's a really tricky spot for that, but the 3/3 does contest the buff from the Houndmaster at least, so you can combine it with Wrath. I think you're right.
You just get to do way more stuff later on once you ramp. Sometimes you can fall into the trap of not ramping, and then like later on you just find yourself just always just trying to like kill off your opponent's minions, but like you didn't gain enough mana, so
you can't
it's just
combine the
harder that way.
plays. Yeah. The bow from Thijs will deal with a 3/3, but at least there's no Houndmaster. Now the problem with that is Ekop still needs to answer the Leok in some way. That's a good turn for Wrath kill. Or do you ever use Feral Rage as a means to killing this, or do you keep it for potential health gain since it's more versatile that way?
I guess we'll see what he gets from Raven Idol first. Another Raven Idol.
That's really good for him. The giant gets discounted so much.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, he doesn't really have much to do this turn except for Feral Rage, right?
Yeah, it's that or hero power with Wrath. It depends, like, do you value card draw more than the potential to gain 8 health against a hunter that might be beating you down? It's a really tricky balance, and hence why this druid is, like, for all the laugh about, hey, get Wild Growth, win a game, this deck is extremely complex to play when you're put in positions where there are multiple decisions to make. Hell, like, you could be greedy and not even kill this Leok if you wanted. That's how greedy you could be, and you'd probably be able to defend your point. Hence the amount of decisions you have to make with this deck. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I think the Wrath and the Hero Power is just more mana efficient there. So Thijs has a choice of Huntress with a secret and Hero Power, or just the Infested Wolf here. But is one secret enough when dropping the Huntress?
I think one of the upsides of the Huntress with the Snake Trap is the Druid will be checking for everything during the game. Snipe isn't very effective unless you run into a Azure Drake, so Ekop may not even get to play around it. But he'll play around, Explosive Trap, Bear Trap, he'll just try out everything. The drawback, though, is this is still super weak to swipe. So even assuming that the trigger happens and hey, you got it off at the right time, the best you can hope for is to just play with your opponent's mind, really. There's very little else this accomplishes. Okay.
What card is he holding? Oh, Ancient of War. It's a good card to pick up for your turn 7. Oh, the Highmane comes on turn 6.
Yeah, and there's still the fear that it is Freezing Trap if you're Ekop. That is
That's
still
true.
in the back of your mind. You don't know a thing about this secret and what it is.
I think he's fine with just letting it sit there, though.
Yeah, that's probably the idea, but the problem is, if you don't develop on the back of this, you're going to be in trouble. I think there might be a Malagos coming down right here, just to give his Nourish more value, because he can Nourish into a swipe on turn 9, and that will clean out the board, potentially even setting up soon-to-be lethals on his opponent.
Yeah, the Malagos is good here.
Really high pressure. You almost... Like, Thijs just can't afford having it stick around. Checking for Cat Trick while popping the Highmane to keep the Ancient of War safe. So this does two things. One of the big fears is Houndmaster on Highmane makes it an 8/7, which means it can attack into the Ancient and not even die. And then because it has such a high attack count, can probably kill Malagos as a follow-up. So popping the Highmane here is pretty important to make the swipe that you might be looking for from Nourish even more efficient. I like that play from Ekop.
Yeah, it's a good one. But Thijs could go through this Ancient of War. He's got a KC in hand, he's got a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, Ekop is still looking for that swipe, so for all the game plan he's set up, and it's a good plan and a good setup, he is still the one trying to claw his way back on the board. Malagos is a huge deal, but as long as he thinks this is Freezing Trap, he's not going to be blindly attacking into it, as long as there's a chance he can find spells and do something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Thijs has like a deadly shot or anything, but that Malagos is probably going to clear the whole board eventually.
Ekop has 4 draws to find a swipe. 1 off the top and 3 from Nourish. And there we go. That's an easy one.
The thing is, he hasn't checked the secret yet, so...
I mean, it can't be counterspell, so...
He might still think it's like a Freezing Trap. He knows
Yeah,
it's not Cat Trick.
He might honestly just go ahead and use Starfire for lethals. You know, like, you just set up a board to where you need one more spell and you've probably won this game, right? Starfire, Feral Rage wins the game. And as long as Malagos is alive, you've got this. So you're putting the Hunter in a position where his secret is useless regardless of what it is. If it's Freezing Trap, it doesn't matter because you don't plan to attack into it. And if you attack into it with a Giant that's cheap, it doesn't matter. You just replay it for 2 more mana than, what, 0? So the cost of the Giant is not really a big factor when it comes to replaying it in this deck.
And there's nothing here that can help Thijs. I mean, Thijs doesn't know Ekop has a Starfire in his hand. He's thinking, maybe I could delay Ekop from lethal by playing a Houndmaster.
Sets up the snipe, gets a taunt in case that's ever relevant. For now, he's going to be trying to race, hoping that maybe a second kill command comes off the top. That could happen. Starfire is not yet single-handedly killing the opponent, but Ekop, well, never mind. Just picked up the Moonfire to go with it. He was going to go ahead and check some traps here and there. Finding out that it wasn't Freezing Trap would have given him the win anyway. That
He
move
did-
fire
yeah.
just gives it easy. No,
He
no
didn't even
cares
have
for
to
secrets. Thijs
Alright.
opening up, or following up that is, with the Zoo that he has. Not many players brought Zoo in the event. RDU and Thijs are the only two players in this top 8 that have brought it. Both teammates apparently respecting the deck more than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, Zoo was just a really, really powerful deck for the longest time, and then now it's like not quite there anymore because of the shamans.
And now Flame Imp coming out. That's a really powerful start for Thijs, and that's what you're looking for against Druid. You can't give them time to get to the swipes, to get to the Living Roots. The combination plays, right? When you go Wrath with Living Roots, when you go for Fel Rage with Living Roots, and get a really good clean clear starting on turn 4. If you can get on the board really heavily before that point, Druid usually can't catch up. And that's exactly what's going on right now.
Yeah, this is a crazy start on Thijs' end. What's Ekop gonna do here? The swipe is not even good right now.
Yeah, I think Fangel at least has the merit of forcing your opponent to find more buffs to make the Imp kill it. Or at least Soulfire with something else. Interesting.
I mean, he could play the Knife Juggler and Abusive the Flame Imp.
I mean, even if the juggle hits Fangel, you were gonna make that trade anyway. In the fringe case where you might go for the 50-50 on Fangel, you can sometimes try to kill it with the option of Imp or the Wolf. But the issue is, if you let Fangel live into turn 5, you're setting yourself up for a loss. It's your fault if things go wrong. If Nourish hits after Fangel, you've lost yourself a game that you didn't have to. Double Ancient of War after the Nourish is going to be excellent for Ekop. That's a really huge roadblock to Thijs.
Yeah, you don't see a double Ancient of War a lot anymore, so it must have been there just for, like, you know, shamans and the aggro, like, decks like Zoo. But I mean, shamans just tend to hex it. That's the problem. I think that's why we stopped seeing Ancient of Wars.
Okay, Soulfire is a pretty cool card here. The fact that Darkshire Librarian and Soulfire are next to one another in the hand makes it a little bit awkward to use both, but you can get a Librarian out of the board, usually a very resilient minion. Swipe hits for 4, without spell damage it usually sticks around. And you can cycle the Darkshire Librarian with Soulfire. I think pushing phase damage may be worth it here.
Yeah. Wait, which minion were you thinking of? Keeping?
The Councilman?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't play the Librarian and possibly discard Soulfire. I think pushing 4 damage is worth quite a bit. There's an argument to be made for simply keeping Soulfire in case Ancient of War comes down. You did see it the game prior, so there's a fear that it becomes an issue, but I like cycling this.
That's a lot of damage to the face right now.
Down to 6 health, and we haven't even seen Doomguards yet. No second Soulfire. Ekop is gonna bank on, I'm assuming, surviving with Ancient of War and then getting the Azure Drake swipe on 9. That's my assumption at this point.
Yeah, that seems like the best thing to do. Wait, why did the Ancient of War come down on 7?
There was a Nourish on 5.
Else.
No, the Nourish came down on 5.
Oh, right.
Which gave him up to 7 crystals and then got the turn 8 to Ancient of War.
That's right.
Well, seems like Ekop has very few options. He's thinking if maybe it's better to not wait for the swipe and swipe now and finish off some of the board. I just can't think that's going to lead to a good outcome. I mean, it would kill the Wolf, which reduces a lot of damage off the board. And you could kill the Councilman at the end of the swipe and leave only 3 damage on board to your 6 health. and then start armoring up behind the Ancient.
Would he be dead anyways if he dropped Ancient of War and Thijs gets a Doomguard?
With
If
the
he dropped
Doomguard, I believe he is, yes.
Yeah, it's like 6 damage next to the wolf.
So you could trade away the abusive Doomguard next, like where it was, and then push for 6. And I mean, I don't even think you need to push to put it next to the wolf.
If you're gonna trade in your juggler into the Ancient of War, you don't need to put it next to the wolf.
Yeah, exactly, because there's a ping going somewhere. Yeah, exactly. This is what matters, is like the juggler eventually goes to face and kills your opponent off, or you kill him with your minions anyway. Either way, you end up with like a little bit over lethal.
Yeah. That worked out for Thijs in the end. Handles Zoo fine, but
yeah, nowadays you do.
Yeah, now I don't know about how the Cthulhu Warriors. I mean, if you get
It's
your
the same thing.
Yeah, if you get your like starting minions, like the Cthulhu minions early, and then you get the plus 10 armor, then you're like in the safe zone.
Yeah, there was an interesting analysis by Firebad, and I keep bringing it up, but it's super interesting where the win rate of Cthulhu Warriors seems to go up if they pick up the Beckoner of Evil early. So it's one of the more important cards, but I suspect the reason why it's so important is just because it guarantees that by turn 7 you won't have had to play like double Cthulhu's Chosen or something along those lines, but instead you'll have played actually good cards.
Yeah, I actually watched him when he said that. That was in the NA, right? Last call when he said that.
I don't know. I wasn't watching it. He mentioned it to me a long time ago when we were discussing cards like Fiery War Axe and Flame Imp, and he said, "You'll be interested to know that in the Cthulhu Warrior deck, one of the more important cards, even though it doesn't seem like it, is Beckoner of Evil." And ever since that time, I've been paying attention to what exactly the card does. And in the matchup, it's like in just general matchups, the most important thing is it just gives you an easy buff on Cthulhu to enable those shield bearers by turn 7, which has been really interesting to look at. Now, Ekop's hand is amazing against Zoo. He got the axe, picks up a second one, has the Ghoul, has a Revenge, has Acolyte of Pain to get himself some cards on the back of those AoE plays, even has the Beckoner we just talked about. This is looking very good for Ekop.
Yeah, and it's a bit awkward for Thijs. I mean, he's got 2 Soulfires, a Doomguard. These cards are just gonna get discarded.
If he finds Malchazar's Imp, this hand at least gets passable, but as of right now, not looking so good. It's not looking brilliant for Thijs. Another Doomguard. Wow.
Oh, that is the worst. Like, getting 2 Doomguards in your hand with 2 Soulfires.
I mean, on the flip side, there is no execute in Ekop's hand, so Thijs might feel like he is forced to go and hope that he can Doomguard into Doomguard. Because if he keeps even just a single 1-drop, Thijs' face.
I know.
Yeah. It's a really
Says
tough
it
one.
all. Yeah, I mean, what choice do you have here? You have to go for the Doomguard. Playing like a couple of 1-drops is just not enough.
So the result wasn't terrible. At least he didn't lose the second Doomguard, but he probably wished he had discarded one of these Soulfires, if not both, because if he plays a second Doomguard, these can't really be played alongside it.
Is there a way Ekop can get rid of this? No, he just has to ignore it.
Yeah, for this turn, which Thijs has a chance to abuse that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now we get like a Silverware Golem that could possibly be discarded.
Need to do some math on the best outcome. Do I play Abusive first to get the extra 2 damage and then try to discard my Golem, or do I risk losing my Soulfires and miss out on 4 damage? But what's my play? I like the Abusive play.
Yeah, Abusive Doomguard. Gotta do it.
Or do you Soulfire the 2/3 and make say prayer to the gods? Or do you Doomguard first, then Soulfire the 2/3 because you have 2 chances of keeping one of them?
If Ekop didn't answer your Doomguard in the last turn, then
The second one just gets better, right?
Yeah, so just like go face.
Yeah, the
Like,
issue
you
is
should-
what do you play with? What do you do with your extra 1 mana? Right, that's what Thijs is agonizing over right now. Let's see what he discards. If he discards the gold, it's gonna be a really crazy swing turn. Loses
Oh
both
my
soul
god.
fires. That is excruciating. Ekop's face, his eyes got really big, and still no answer to the Doom Guards. But now Revenge is active for 3 damage, which is a huge deal.
Of course Ekop's eyes would get big. He just saw 2 soul fires get discarded. That's a ton of damage.
It answers the question that he had early, which is, why is this zoo not playing cards? What exactly is in there? Oh, that explains it. A double Soulfire with double Doomguard. Suddenly, all makes sense.
I mean, these are all the big threats that you're gonna see. So once Ekop deals with this, I think it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's the biggest threat he's going to be facing this game, knowing full well there's no more burst, barring maybe a Dark Peddler doing Dark Peddler things, but even then the odds are pretty slim of that occurring. And full clear for Ekop here, sitting at 10 health. I mean, there's still a potential for comeback for Thijs. I mean, Cthulhu is not yet... I mean, the Ancient Shield Bearers are not yet in Ekop's hand, so there is like a window of opportunity for Thijs, but it's about 2 turns long, and past that point I think it's going to be a done deal.
Can Thijs even win this still? Oh, actually.
That seemed like the nail in the coffin we were waiting for. I mean,
Yeah, the Twin Emperor Vector is just gonna seal the deal here. Especially with no more Doom Guards, and no more, I mean, yeah, there's probably could help you, but it's only gonna help you go through one of them.
oh, Shifter Zerus could do things. This might be... I was gonna say, I feel like Shifter Zerus was on the verge of being the card you want here. Because what if you pick up Deathwing on the next turn or the next 2 turns, and then somehow you drop it and the opponent can't answer it? Like, is that his only win condition? Is what I was wondering at that point. Because the 4/6s wouldn't... Like, they might kill you by that point. Hard to say.
I have no time for
Well, we'll never
games.
know, will we? Shifter's gone. And with it, my hopes.
Yeah, it would just take too many turns to actually like get something decent.
Alright, so we can clean up the Emperor, but not much else beyond that. And
It's a good pickup.
yeah, it does get to push some damage here. And Sylvanas can't die at the moment, which means she can't steal something. She can clear up some of the board. A Peddler Soulfire outcome could steal this. The Brand with the Ghoul deals 2 damage in AoE.
Yeah, and then the Cthulhu is double next turn.
Yeah, Brand, Ghoul. I mean, do you hit the Peddler first to steal the Silverware? That way you can at least get a minion to replace Sylv. Because if you don't, you just lose Sylvanas and get nothing at the end. Whereas if you attack Peddler first, you steal the gold.
Oh,
Yeah, so by losing the Sylvanas here, there's like a missed golem opportunity.
I see.
Not like this. It's fine.
Yeah, it seems like it's
It's not a very
Ekop's gonna
impactful misplay. It's just not a very meaningful misplay either way. Double Cthulhu, doesn't matter how big it is, it's enough. And Thijs is going to go 2-2 like against Ekop, and now he's left with Druid against Cthulhu Warrior. And that's a matchup you don't tend to see much nowadays, since Cthulhu Warrior has kind of fallen out of favor. But I'd say it's a pretty even matchup across the board. I'd give a slight edge. Oh, the opener for Ekop starts with the axe. That's always a good thing. Ekop has a much better start than Thijs's. Innervate with nothing else, but these Arcane Giants can do a crazy amount of work if they find like a Raven Idol early to support their cost reduction.
yeah.
You do need the Wild Growth though.
The Arcane Giants are just like dead cards until much later.
Do you do it? Do you double Innervate your Drake?
Nah. I would at least wait 1 turn.
to keep at least the one innervate and go
Mhm.
innervate coin instead. But then you
Yeah.
let him play the axe, and then you can't play the Drake anymore because he gets axe into ghoul, and you can never push damage. I guess you do need your mana for at least a
It's-
nourish.
The Drake's gonna die anyways, right? Because like there's Beckoner of Evil and Fiery War Axe to go into it, or even the Revenge.
Yeah, but it dies less often if you play it on 1 than 2. 2 it just dies automatically and doesn't do anything else than draw. Whereas on turn 1 it might push 8 damage, which gives you a bit of a head start, and if the opponent doesn't have the axe, then this play is even higher payoff in general. Like, what if he's stuck with a really awkward hand that contains nothing but Cthulhu enablers for late game? And a Raft would also help here. Raft, Living Roots.
Yeah, it's because we see what they have. Oh.
That might be kept as well. Let's do this. Let's kill this 2-3 and keep the Drake safe.
Yeah, Thijs knows that he might have the axe. And it also helps the Arcane Giants get cheaper. Since he has 2 in his hand. What's that card he's holding? I miss. Oh, Acolyte.
So Thijs here has the option of going for Wild Growth, but when you can get a coin Fandral when your board hasn't been contested, I think I'd be inclined to give it a shot. The Wild Growth would probably only enable a Nourish from the top or another Drake, which playing Fandral already sort of does by giving you at least a little bit more pressure and thus more time to get the turn 5.
Yeah, I think the Fandral's okay here.
Yeah, he's gonna opt for the Wild Growth. I'm guessing a part of it has to do with our earlier Arcane Giants being played.
Yeah, good choice for Thijs, because like we know that Ekop had the answer to the Fandral. We're not gonna see Cthulhu's Chosen. He had to deal with the Drake straight away.
That's a
So he's
Fandral with 2 potential roots to enable the Giant if he wants.
So Ekop has played like 1 Cthulhu minion so far, right?
Yeah, Cthulhu is not yet a 10-10, but the second minion will do it. And again, the importance of that little 2-3 is kind of understood here, because imagine a word the 2-1 that deals 2 damage. It's pretty powerful, granted, but the issue is that the Druid can just kill it right away without expending cards, just using his hero power. And in this spot, you find yourself being able to enable it very early, and all you need by turn 7 is 1 extra Cthulhu minion, and that's a really good, very good effect. 2-drop. Another axe comes out.
It's pretty good. He's gonna just save his revenge. Yeah, I mean, the only thing Thijs can do here is just Raven Idol. Look for something. Cheapen up his... Actually, he can play a giant. He can coin out a giant, even.
Yeah, whenever he wants to. Moonglade Portal is a pretty high pressure card as well. Just because it gives you a 6-drop. People look at it as a healing tool, and that's true, but there are some matchups like this one where it's mostly important to just get something on the board. And that something, in this case, would be a 6-drop. Do you play the 6-drop first to maybe pull out some removal so your giants are even safer?
Yeah, I do like the Moonglade Portal here. And then just like help cheapen up your giants too.
I think it's a bit of a tougher call than it looks, but... Yeah, I'm not sure what the correct decision is. I guess the first giant can soak up the removal and the second one is safe. So in both senses, you're throwing a minion to die, and then the second one might do something. And there's also the added advantage of... Assume the opponent just plays a minion into your giant, and you get to trade into it. Well, you can keep your giant healed up with the Moonglade Portal, so there's kind of a two-way advantage to playing the first giant.
I mean, do you think Ekop would have rolled if he saw the Moonglade Portal?
Depending on what comes out, I guess.
That's
I mean,
true.
if it's
He might.
Sylvanas, or, you know, it's different.
Yeah, he probably could have axed it, right?
Ancient of War is it's very well timed here after the Giants soaked up a brawl. Now you're worried about the executes and everything else, but for the most part, the amount of times the opponent will have an execute for the Ancient and an execute for the Arcane Giant are pretty slim. So you're pretty happy about the texture of your hand, given that you don't have Nourish yet. It's probably one of the better high cost, you know, hand sizes. I mean, the high cost cards in your deck, that is, that aren't card draw. Keep slipping up on my words. So Thijs, I don't know if you play the Ancient of War or the second Giant. Again, same idea as earlier. Do you make it a 10-5? Do you make it a 5-10?
5-10. I like the Ancient of War here. Because, I mean, you could play... If he deals with this whole board, he could play the Moonglade Portal with the Arcane Giant another turn.
Now, Ekop thinks about using Revenge Execute. That gives Thijs hope that there isn't a second Execute. And I mean, if there is a second Execute, the enabler, in this case, we know is going to be the Axe. So without finding another Slam or something along those lines, or like a Ghoul, it does look like this Giant may be safe from removal. But Ekop did get a really good hand to counter what Thijs accumulated over turns, because no card draw from Thijs means he's forced to just drop minions on curve. Is it time for Portal?
I mean, if I were Thijs, well, this is because I can see Ekop's hand also. I would just play like one Giant and that's it, and pass. And yeah, luckily Thijs is still playing around like a possible second brawl.
Well, he couldn't play 2 minions, but the question was whether or not he played Moonglade Portal to keep himself from losing the Giant to another Execute prior. In this case, though, there's another enabler found that doesn't even force Ekop to use his weapons to kill the Giant, so he doesn't even take damage from this, and he's at 19 health with a much bigger hand than his opponent. But that means Malygos probably doesn't find any answer. You've seen 2 Executes. What else could there be?
I mean, shield slams, but like
The armor count?
Armor, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, so this is funny. This is funny.
Yeah. You were just talking about this minion.
Okay, so Thijs was playing a little bit earlier on the stream, and he stopped playing after a Druid Moonglade Portal, a Reckless Rocketeer, straight in his face, and he didn't have a good way to come back from it. And it looks like Ekop may be in a similar position. We're talking about a 6-mana Pyroblast. That's exactly what happened. If Ekop face tanks this was a 6-mana Pyroblast.
I think we're gonna see an Emperor Thorson here.
I like
with
it a
the
lot.
hero power, yeah.
It seems correct, because that way you keep your brand reduced in cost in case you pick up something else like Ancient Shield Bearer, where you need to get the double buff and the 20 armor gain. Yikes, that's awfully close. 3 off lethal.
Right.
And the thing is, if Malygos comes down and isn't answered, this may
Brawl.
just be it.
I mean, Ekop could brawl it.
What are the odds, though? It's a 50-50 here, unless he throws everything into it.
He has to throw other stuff.
For a 66 or for a 25? Like for a 75%? Because either way, there is always the chance that Thijs gets to keep the Malygos, which is what's scary for him. So, big worry for Thijs right now is Ancient Shield Bearer into Shield Slam. And he's trying to figure out if he has to wait and maybe keep the Malygos for when he picks up Moonfire or Living Roots.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty tough turn.
And this is tournament life that's on the line with this play. And he goes for the Malygos all in. He says, I can't wait for Nourish and simply play the long game. This guy's gonna outvalue me with armor gain, and I can't do anything about it. And Ekop does not have an answer to the Malygos as of right now, and he's shaking his head.
It could play like 2 more minions and then brawl.
Sure. How good do you feel about that if you're Ekop, though? I'm not saying you can't, but how good do you feel?
You'd be pretty unlucky if you didn't win that brawl.
Not that much. I mean, we're talking 33%. If you're playing 2 minions, it's 25%. Worse odds have happened all the time in Hearthstone. And I mean, it's not even close. This is a very common scenario.
He could drop the brand and get a double buff. Did he play a second Cthulhu minion yet?
He did, yeah. The Disciple
Yeah,
of
he did.
Cthulhu came out earlier.
Yeah.
So he might just go for the 66 because the difference between 66 and 75% isn't really that wide. It's a 9%. But it's still more than you want to leave to chance. So we'll see whether or not this brawl comes in favor of Thijs. If it does, he takes the series and stays in the tournament. And the Malagos is thrown out. Ooh, sigh of relief there for Ekop for sure. And he doesn't re-armor up, and he leaves himself at 11 health. So swipe into... What could the top deck be? It would have to be something like an Azure Drake.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need to mulch any of these minions yet.
So does his win condition hinge on picking up an Azure Drake? Or another Ancient of War in his deck? I haven't seen whether or not he played a second copy of it.
He has to hero power every turn and get a Feral Rage or a like Living Roots to help him.
That's it. He's gonna try to max out the amount of damage he deals each turn. So weave in the extra hero power to negate the armor gain. So right now, if he puts Ekop at 6 health by throwing everything, assuming he doesn't just trade with the board. Okay, he's gonna go for a board trade. He thinks he can answer the next big minion that comes out with mulch, and maybe pick up a Nourish to flood with whatever minion he ends up finding.
Yeah, he might have a Rag. He might have another War. We don't know. Well,
yeah, Raven Idol can also be used for minions, I guess, at this stage of the game. Yeah, I don't think you want to be mulching a 3-3. Hence, Thijs shaking his head. Oh, Ekop is playing around Ragnaros right now. He's like, alright, he's setting me at 8. Is this just a Rag Hail Mary that I'm going to get done next turn? And do I need to diminish it to a 33% instead of a 50-50? I wouldn't dislike it necessarily, yeah.
Yeah, because Ekop doesn't know what that other card is. Doesn't know it's a mulch.
And based on the fact that you just get double swiped, and you're left at exactly 8 after careful consideration, you have to be cautious and worry about Ragnaros. Nourish, finally a card Thijs wanted to see. It's been a while, but finally it does.
You gave it the nod.
Raven Idol for a minion could be very powerful.
Would you for a minion, or would you spell?
It's a tough call, but I guess you could pick up a damaging spell. And without Malagos, those are less impactful, but I guess they could be good. Power of the Wild, say on Mire Keeper. I think it's closer than it seems. I mean, you could pick up Ancient of War, Ancient of Lore, Volcanic Lumber, Scenarios. The level of power of your minions here are really high.
Nice, you got a minion.
A 6/10 is looking pretty appealing.
Eldritch Horror?
I've never even seen anyone pick this outside of Arena, but it might be the first time this is actually a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, Ekop's like top decking, sort of, but he's only got one card. How's he gonna deal with this?
Ancient Shield Bearer needs to come off the top for Ekop to feel safe again. Or Emperor Veclor, pick one, but something. Oh, that is a very good card for Ekop, not so good for Thijs though.
Right. Oh, he can Shield Slam. Does he? Oh my gosh. If he
Does
uses
he do
a
it?
shield, yeah, if he uses a Shield Slam, he's gonna get shocked later.
I don't think he's gonna use it. I think his armor gain or his armor count is high enough that he's not too scared. The question is whether his weapon charge is worth anything to him, and I don't think the weapon charge trumps a Shield Slam in terms of value. The issue is, right now, if the Ghoul ends up trading into the 2-1, that means Thijs can finish it off. And the 2-2 means Thijs can finish it off with a weapon, with the hero power, and then use the Eldritch Horror, which doesn't have a direct counter with Shield Slam. That is really sketchy. Well, a donation just came in from Blaze for you, $5. Thank you. We're nearing the the 4,000 mark. Really, we're $55 away. Thanks to everyone who's contributing to this. Now let us see whether or not Thijs or Ekop is taking this. Honestly, if Ekop doesn't pick up an armor game card, his armor is going to dwindle to a very small amount. That is not an armor game card. Uh-oh. This could get ugly.
It's just funny seeing a 610 on the board. Yeah, actually the donation goal is getting pretty close. Just 1,000 more, really, to hit the 5,000 mark.
Ekop can get a double buff on Cthulhu, but that's not the point. At this stage, he just wants something to help him clear off the minion. Now he's thinking, do I shield slam this preemptively to make sure that my 4-2 can clear it? Or my brand? Oh my goodness! Wait, is there a guaranteed kill? We see the mulch, which can reduce the potential target. Actually, there's a guaranteed kill! You mulch the 4-2, you fell rage the brand, next turn you can maybe land a rag? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that could be
over
a
2
thing,
turns?
actually.
This is insane. Or do you 32% at this turn and hope the shield does not get popped?
No, I don't think so. You have to mulch that 4-2. It's annoying because the
So
rag might hit.
maybe you pop the shield with your hero power, right? You pop the shield with hero power and then you go 6 to face, and 32% win, or at least kill a minion.
Oh, but it's because we could see the shield slam in his like.
It's so close to being good. If the 4-2 dies and Ekop picks up Ancient Shield Bearer, this is gonna be the sickest, most nail-biting game we've had in the entire series. And the face is hit! Oh my goodness.
Gosh!
And Thijs, just like that,